What is going on YouTube? This is Acid Root. So I'm going to review the second album by 36 Mafia member DJ Paul. Basically, this project is called Scale-a-Ton, and it came out in the spring of 2009. The thing about this particular project is this album Scale-a-Ton came out more or less on the heels of 36 Mafia's 2008 album Last to Walk, as far as that pitch can happen. That came out in the summer of 2008, just about 10 and a half so months later as far as that pitch can happen. But it's a good enough concept to kind of get this, just because these were originally like interim projects. Like DJ Paul dropped Scale-a-Ton in May of 2009. Juicy J dropped Hustle Till I Die in June of 2009, both of which are classic albums. So this is going to get a classic as far as another hit album for DJ Paul and the 36 Mafia and Hypnotized Minds Fold, I'd have to say. But originally, both the DJ Paul and Juicy J albums were like interim projects until they dropped the next album from 36 Mafia, which was going to be Laws of Power. They were just doing some solo stuff in between. That never happened. The Laws of Power never came out. Now, it did leak to the internet, and it is kind of floating around in certain places on the internet. Like, at least it's on YouTube and other places. It's available for download kind of in like a mixtape format. I am eventually going to review that, but I want to get to this particular project because I remember this project is a pretty hit album here. Definitely a great album to get Blitz to. Kind of the same thing with Juicy J. I would recommend getting both these projects, both Scale-a-Ton and Hustle Till I Die, because both these are some pretty feral albums in terms of just like the glitzy kind of summer night appeal, and this pitch is like that. I mean, this one's not as residential as Juicy J's Hustle Till I Die. Has a little bit more nightclub bounce on here, and it's definitely a lot more haunting. Juicy J's was not quite as full-blown haunting. I'd have to say had some of that, but it was just more of like a localized kind of house party, similar to the stuff that Lil White kind of does. I feel like DJ Paul really kept some of the ghastly kind of horrorcore type tone of some of 36 Mafia's earlier days as far as that pitch kind of happens. Has a little bit of club appeal, has a little bit of makeshift on here in like a certain sense. There are some songs on here like You Don't Want It, Want to Be Like You, and there's like one other song on here I'm trying to think of that's like I think Gotta Eat, some of those type ones that do have some relative kind of commercial appeal. Was just kind of the concept similar to like 36 Mafia's album Last to Walk from 2008 when they did like a song with Good Charlotte and Akon and some of those type folks. They do have some of that appeal, but this is basically like 36 Mafia's 2009 album, more so than the Hustle Till I Die, where that one was just kind of like a real blitzkrieg kind of house party type sense where Juicy J was trying to break out into like the solo affair. This is like the continuation of Last to Walk, is without some of that commercial type bop of some of those type ones. I mean, it has some commercial appeal, but not as much as 36 Mafia did in 2008. If you're looking for a song like Lolly Lolly that's going to be like a top 20 single pitches like that, it doesn't have it, but there is at least attempts. I just would have to say. So it's a pretty good concept. This album didn't really sell that highly. Apparently, it only sold like 4,000 copies in the first week as far as that pitch went. So I don't think this album went gold or anything close to that as far as that pitch happens. It's 15 years old, but what I'd say it's a pretty good concept just to see this in particular. Good aspect to kind of retain some of this. This is another classic for like I was saying, like the Hypnotized Minds Fold as far as that pitch goes. So I do recommend this. It's not as commonly talked about nowadays. For the most part, I noticed that Spotify didn't really have a ton of real affability behind this particular project. I kind of feel like it's mostly low key. I mean, DJ Paul has made enough noise throughout the 2010s as far as that pitch happens, but he's more a product of like the 2000s and 90s. Not to say he was a product of the 2010s as well, but it's just kind of the concept that it just takes. I mean, the Spotify days kind of manifested like 2013, 2014, 2015. By that point, DJ Paul is putting out less albums, so it's just kind of the concept. But I look after this as a classic here. It's a pretty beefy album, and really the lone guest that's on this particular album, apart from the lone artist that's on this particular album apart from DJ Paul, is just Lord Infamous. RIP to him. I want to say he was like DJ Paul's brother or cousin, something like that. He was a pretty cool cat, pretty fly member, part of 36 Mafia back in those days. He was also part of Mafia 6 for a brief time as far as that pitch can happen with it. But it's a good concept kind of get him on this particular album. Make a good pairing, just like Project Pat was on Juicy J's album as far as that pitch can happen. Now, Juicy J at least had a few other cats on there. He had like some other cat that I don't remember that was like a protege of him. But basically, it's just DJ Paul and Lord Infamous on this particular product. But there are some commercialized type songs, and it goes hand in hand with this particular. DJ Paul and Lord Infamous make a pretty excellent combination, so it's a good concept. But so low key, there were two singles. Like Wikipedia doesn't full blown list them, but in the description of some of these articles on here, it does. So the two basic singles were You Don't Want It and Just Like That. Basically, You Don't Want It was the first one. This is like an electro kind of rap night outing. I'd have to say in like a revved up kind of sense. I'd have to suppose it's like a good companion with Lolly Lollipop That Body from 36 Mafia's Lolly Lollipop That Body from 36 Mafia's 2008 album Last to Walk. I'd have to say, so if you do like that relative kind of more commercialized kind of like, I forget the kind of night, it just is kind of like 90s EDM type sense, just 90s electronica stuff. Like, I forget the name of it, but it's like zombie some European names and pitches like that. I forget some of those particular type songs, but it's a pretty good pitch to kind of get like that. It's like a continuation. It's kind of like a pseudo song, just has some of that pseudo glitz within that relative appeal. I mean, it's the most commercial for the most part that this album's going to get, apart from a couple other songs. It at least attempts it on here. Skeleton at least attempts it on here, but it's just kind of the concept that this was just more alternative rap as far as the pitching goes. But it is at least a good one if you're looking for like some more 3-6 Mafia type songs to kind of have in like at least a relative commercial format to kind of get like, if you do truly miss like songs like Lolly Lolly and wish for more songs like it past 2008, it's a good concept. That's a good pairing of one. Just Like That's another nice one. This is a pretty hit single here. Do appreciate this one. It's like a tilted kind of woozy times out on the town, I'd have to say in particular. This is like a pretty blitz feeling good type song, I'd have to say, and this is like a haunting kind of fraternized gem. So it's definitely a pretty nice one to kind of get. This is definitely the thing about this particular album is just like Juicy J, DJ Paul is getting hella tore up off this particular product, so you can definitely find plenty of these songs in here to really have a blitzkrieg of a time just overall get feral as far as that pitch kind of goes along with it. This is just a nice one. This is the second single, so this is the sort of song I feel like 3-6 Mafia probably needed on their 2008 album. Not to say that there's anything wrong with that one, but it's just kind of the concept I would have to say in terms of like something for just getting crunk and that sort of pitch that's not more commercialized or work shift kind of modernize it. I'd say this is a pretty good concept. Get this one. Really has that relative appeal, but this is a real tipsy and woozy type one. Definitely some smokage in your system, I'd have to say. Definitely like a ghastly kind of sense as well. So it's just some good concepts. I like what DJ Paul is attempting with the Skeleton album. I would definitely have to say just a great concept. Kind of get some of this here. Just really has that electric type appeal, and this pitch is like that. It's really some ghastliness. Same thing. I mean, this is a great one to punch both Hustle Till I Die by Juicy J and this one, Skeleton by DJ Paul are classics, I'd say. So it's a good concept. Get both. But yeah, basically there's 18 songs in this there's 18 songs in this particular album, and out of those 18 I wound up recommending to you 16. So I look after that particular concept. The only two songs I don't recommend in some fashion on here would just be Want to Be Like You and then Liquor and Powder. So talk about those real quick. Basically, Liquor and Powder just didn't really like the composition of that particular one. Liquor and Powder was just kind of like a rock rap kind of looming type one that just didn't really have the appeal behind it. Just the composition of that particular one was just not quite as executed as well. But that's just like a minor complaint because the vast majority of the sound is pretty sheer. And then Want to Be Like You is just kind of a more storytelling type one. It's kind of a commercialized type one. This is more DJ Paul and like a softer sense as far as that pitching goes. Really, this song sticks out like a sore thumb. Wikipedia says that he was talking about aspiring to be more like Michael Jackson and pitches like that, which is a good enough concept just within that pitch. But this is kind of one where the composition of this particular song was just the appeal behind it just didn't really have like the electricity that it probably needed. It was just kind of one. I mean, it's an affable type one just in the sense of being a little bit more mainstream, but it just didn't have like the usual bite of the particular appeal of the rest of this album, I'd have to say. So, but it is probably one of the more commercial ones on here, apart from You Don't Want It and Gotta Eat, I'd have to say. But yeah, to get to the rest of these songs on here, Pop a Pill is one of the best songs off this particular album. Enjoy this song quite a bit. It's like a very trippy and whimsical, kind of get hella tore up fun of a song. I definitely would have to say it's like a classic 3-6 appeal this song particularly kind of has, and this is just an offhanded feel that works pretty damn well. It's definitely a pretty glitzy type one. Just a great one to get tore up to as far as that pitch can goes. Definitely some good house party type gigs and pitches like that. Just a good overall affability and just overall spark one that just has a lot of thrilling energy. Another nice one on here would be Ice Spoils. It's like a bubbling kind of feral club hitter, I'd have to say in particular. It's definitely one of the better ones for like a standard nightclub turn up. This one just has some ferocious energy about it. It's like a basic kind of dance noise, I would say. Like Ice Spoils has some basic kind of dance noise about it, I would definitely have to say, and it reminds me of You Scared from like their early 2000s days by 3-6 Mafia, I would definitely have to suppose. And it's like a nasty kind of hype night glitz of a song, I'd say. So this is probably one of the more pounding ones. This one probably could have been a single if it had been promoted correctly, I'd have to say. It has a pretty thrilling beat and its overall appeal of like the energy as far as how it kind of goes. This is a heavy hitter, definitely a nice one to kind of hear in like some late 2000s nightclubs that those pitches would still be around as far as that particular kind of goes. It's a real good alternative type one, probably one that's just not that commonly talked about, but it is a pretty nice secret 3-6 type hit despite, I mean, it's DJ Paul, but it's a good concept just within that fold as far as that kind of goes. She Want to Get High is a pretty nice one. It's like a great menacing turn up for chicas. I would definitely have to say it's like a trying to get tort. This song is like a great menacing turn up for chicas trying to get tortured. I'd say in particular, if you're looking for some ladies and these ladies are trying to smoke heavy and smoke hella good, I'd say it's a great concept for that. It's like a feral and kind of ghastly fun of a song, I'd have to say. This one, She Want to Get High, some great kind of ghastly turn up as far as that pitching goes. There's some crisp kind of autumn type fare to kind of get here, I definitely have to say. I'm Drunk is a pretty nice one as well. It's like a gnarled and kind of high octane house party craziness. I would definitely feel like this is one of the album's most fierce type songs to kind of get here, and this is just great for some sippage. So it's a pretty nice one. There's some rock rap songs on here in particular. I feel like I'm Drunk is a real nice one for that, and I'd probably say Bumpin' is another pretty nice one for that relative pitch. So these are some good ones to kind of have. I do like the rock rap appeal on here. It works pretty damn well. It's a pretty good concept. This really has some feral type energy. So this is probably an album that you could really get beyond tipsy to, just being able to say some of that. This is definitely like when I talked about back in February as far as the Juicy J album, this really having some blitz type energy. This is something that you kind of have to be responsible with as far as that pitch kind of goes, because these songs will keep going and keep stacking up as far as that craziness kind of goes. The turn down on this particular album, the centralizing and kind of getting more commercialized and saying, all right, this is as crazy as I'm going to get. It's just not on here. There's no real filter about this particular product, so you have to kind of moderate as far as that pitch kind of goes, because this is pretty sheer. Is kind of the concept, especially for more vintage retro type sense in like late 2000s type fare. So it's, I mean, I realize that there's probably tons of blitzing albums like that, but this is just kind of one where there's just, like I was saying, no filter, and this really gets revved up. But another one like that would be Bumpin'. It's like a shredding but gothic kind of energizer of a song. I'd have to say it's pretty similar to I'm Drunk, like I was saying before, and it's like a good stock, feel good kind of traverse and primer of a song to kind of get. So if you're looking for some ones to kind of get tore up for the night and just get ready to get started, just got done with work shifts and pitches like that, I'd have to say it's a good concept to kind of get some of these, especially in like a rock rap kind of sense, I suppose. So the thing about DJ Paul in this particular album is he does have some of that worship in mind. There are songs like Want to Be Like You, Gotta Eat, a little bit of You Don't Want It, some of those type pitches, I'd say. There might be a couple other ones on here. There are some Traverse type ones. I can't think of them as full blown. I feel like songs like Fuckboy are some good kind of paranoid. I feel like some songs like Fuckboy are some good kind of aggravated and kind of aggy kind of venting type songs kind of get within that commerce type sense. There's some day activity songs like Internet Whore that kind of have that basic kind of appeal to Traverse. And there's songs like Walk Like a Stripper that are just night owl type activity. So there is some good night Traverse as far as that pitch goes. Definitely good for just waking up 5:36 p.m. pitches like that, or just getting done with the work shift just within that relative sense. So it has some of that, but it is pretty ghastly. It's kind of a more gothic type appeal, just saying that if you do have more gothic type appeal about you, but you do, or it's kind of like gothic blue collar just within a relative hustler's mindset, I'd have to say. So it's a good concept. But Walk Like a Stripper is a pretty nice one. It's like a basic kind of late 2000s 3-6 Mafia juggalette slash ladies night activity of a song, I'd have to say. Just some good juggalette type music to kind of get here for some ladies with like a mean walk, I would definitely have to say. And this is like some standard night owl type fare, I'd have to say. So it's a dope enough concept. There are some good songs for ladies on here, there are some good songs for ladies on here just within that relative sense. It's not as full blown commercial, but I definitely feel like juggalettes, alternative ladies, gothic ladies, pitches like that is some good. And a more Halloween bound type ladies are definitely going to appreciate this particular project. It says that standard alternative kind of appeal. Internet Whore is another good one within that relative sense. It's like a woozy kind of gothic alternative tune for internet chicas, I would definitely have to say. Pretty much like a primer of like the stuff that PD Plastic was kind of doing in like 2013 and the early 2010s. It's good that 3-6 Mafia folks are kind of embracing internet rap as far as that pitch kind of happens. This is like some good day activity and fall makeshift, I would definitely have to say. So it's pretty good commerce just overall. Standard autumn type fare as far as that particular kind of goes, is September, October music. Another song that's pretty similar to Ice Spoils is I'm an Outlaw. It's another kind of basic kind of turn up type one. It's like a basic kind of revved up evening energy of a song, I'd have to say. It's like a stock kind of DJ Paul social step out of a song. It's not as banner of a song as like a standard night outing would kind of be, though. Just what I'd say about this one. I mean, it has the pounding energy of Ice Spoils, but it's just kind of the concept. This is not like a typical kind of nightclub where you would hear something like from LMFAO or a Pitbull song or something like that, or like Usher or some of those type folks, DJ Khaled, some of those type folks to really have some of that commercialized, just complete sheer type energy for like a wicked kind of Friday. This is just kind of more, but almost say like Wednesday night, Thursday night type music, this kind of hole in the wall type places, just grab a brew, some pitches like that, just find some alternative chicas, some of that type fare. Just kind of has some of that pounding type sense. Gotta Eat is a pretty nice one. This is like a hazy kind of horrorcore pop Traverse tune, I would have to say in particular. It's like a grim hustle malaise, I would definitely feel like. And this one aims for mainstream. And I would say Gotta Eat aims for mainstream in like a gothic sense. This is a pretty nice one. This is like one of those hustle type songs that you would have gotten in late 2009, early 2010, late 2000s, early 2010s as far as that pitching goes. Just the sort of stuff that like Tayo Cruz or Pitbull would kind of do, just with like the gothic 3-6 Mafia type tinge towards it as far as that pitch can happen with it. Just one of those standard type ones. It's a relatively good one. It's interesting that Lord Infamous was on this particular song too, because he was less commercial than DJ Paul was, who was not that commercial back in 2009. I'd say it was a pretty good concept to get that with that relative appeal. This one, like I was saying, this is one of the more commercial songs off this particular album. Joke is a pretty nice one. This is like a vintage kind of jittery dance club bounce, I would have to say, from like early 2000s 3-6 Mafia days. I would definitely feel like, and this switches to like horrific kind of late. This switches to like horrific kind of late night snaz as far as that pitch can go. So it kind of has like a blend of a verse. Some of it's kind of like 3-6 Mafia's "You Scared" type days, and like the beginning of the verse, and the second half of the verse switches to more horrorcore type tone. Lord Infamous is on this one as well. It's pretty good pitch to get this one. This has a hype concept. This is kind of like a decent bop. It's like a good buzz single, I'd have to say. It's not really a single, but it's a good buzz song just kind of get for some relative hype kind of dance energy, just some good, maybe like a minor twerk song just pitches like that. Just some good appeal like for some night outings. Doing All the Doing's a pretty nice one. This like a ghastly kind of horrorcore pop social snap of a song, I would definitely have to say. It's like a good local Kickstarter, I would feel like, and shindig fun, I would have to say. And this is a pretty good song to get crunk to. So these are just some nice ones. Yeah, I would say within a minor sense, songs like Doing All the Doing, some of those type ones, Gotta Eat, some of those type pitches, at least try some horrorcore type pop as far as that pitching goes. It's an interesting concept, kind of get some of that, just attempting to aim for like more mainstream type charts and like hunting kind of sense, but it's a good concept, kind of get some of that. Do you like some of the ghastly type appeal of this particular song? And it's the same thing with the song Stay With Me. This is another nice one. It's like a vintage kind of vanilla 3-6 Mafia terror of a song I'd have to say in particular. It's like some good basic kind of cruise around type music, I would say, and it's like a feel good and like a gothic type sense of a song I'd have to suppose. So it's just some good concepts, some good commerce. There's definitely some good autumn commerce about this particular product that has to say just out and about in like standard day type fare. Just kind of some good concepts, not as full blown like snackage, but just kind of the concept of just picking up supplies, just checking your phone pitches like that. Just kind of the concept of picking up supplies, checking your phone pitches like that, just kind of being out and about, getting some plans made as far as that pitch kind of goes along with it, just getting stocks up, just getting stationed and situated as far as figuring out what's going to happen for the night and pitches like that. I mean, some of it would kind of be amidst the evening, just in terms of getting those last bills paid and getting the work shift kind of wrapped up. I look after enough of this, it just kind of has the concept of just being some real glitzy kind of time as far as that kind of goes. It's pretty social type album, I'd say. Just a good concept, kind of get some of that. I mean, it's not as full blown like festive, I would have to say. It's not really like you're just social butterfly, just out and about 50 people type stuff as far as that pitch can goes, but it does have a reason. It does have a relative concept with just like some good kind of energy of having some smoke fun, calling up some chicas, some pitches like that, just having some good times. Just a relative kind of, just within a relative alternative touch sense, just modest, just within the social fare as to how it kind of goes. I feel like Juicy J's was a little bit more of like a house party type craze. This one's a little bit more brooding, just within a sense. It's definitely the more haunting of the two albums, but I'd say it's just a good concept. Juicy J is a little bit crazier, but it's definitely some ghastly typeness to kind of get here, and has some relative socialness, but it's just more modest compared to what Juicy J kind of did with Hustle Till I Die. That's not to say that there aren't turn up type songs on there. There's some songs like Pop a Pill, I Spoils, I'm Drunk, Fuck Boy. There's some songs like Pop a Pill, I Spoils, I'm Drunk, Bumpin', some of those type ones. I would say She Wanna Get High, some of those type pitches. So it's a pretty good appeal. Plus the singles are pretty good just within that relative sense. There's enough kind of glitz about that. But yeah, this album gets a 10 out of 10. I would have to say good concept. Me only not recommending two songs. The social score is going to probably get a 10 out of 10 as well. I feel like this is kind of alternative within a relative sense, but this is an alternative classic. I would definitely have to say great album to pick up at Hot Topic if it's still around in those relative pitches. It's an alternative staple, I'd have to say. 3-6 Mafia classic, I would definitely feel like this real haunting, the horrific type tone. This is very ghastly, the horrific type productions on here work extremely well. I'd have to say this is a concept of great listening to in like the fall, September, October, November pitches like that. Some good day commerce, some good work shift, just wrap up pitches like that. A little bit of commercial on here within a relative sense. I mean, for alternative, it works pretty well. DJ Paul at least attempted it, so it's a good concept. Kind of get some of that if you are looking for something a little bit more with some relative radio snap. I mean, it's alternative and it's low key, but it has like the edge of at least being something that's not like complete beneath the underground as far as that pitching goes. Lots of appeal about this particular project. Has the house party songs, the nightclub songs, the ladies songs, pitches like that. Just some good outing type fare and just overall activity, some commerce songs, pitches like that. So it's a good concept. In terms of future, like DJ Paul has been saying for the longest time that he's going to put out an album called Dracula or pitches like that. I know he at least put out an album in 2016, but it's kind of been a while. He was very dominant in like the 2010s, which is a pretty good pitch just because he had been around since like the early 90s. But I just would have to say, hopefully he'll continue to put out out some more projects. 3 6 Mafia obviously hasn't been around since like the 2000s. The Mafia 6 hasn't been around since 2015, so it's just been a concept. I just don't know what DJ Paul's been up to. He's been dropping songs. He's on Instagram. He puts out music videos oftenly enough, pitches like that. He did have some collaborations with Yellow Wolf and Young Buck and some of those type folks that I have to say. But hopefully we'll get some more albums pitches like that because he's pretty good at doing collaboration albums too. So will we get something like that? I do want that Dracula album to come out, but I am going to review more DJ Paul. But this is an alternative album classic here, and I would have to say it's a gothic classic and definitely some good high grade pitches to kind of fuck with for like some haunting late 2000s type fare. All right, folks. So I had one more song to get to that I forgot to get to on like the Skeleton review as far as the pitch can happen. But this is another song I recommend on here, and that song would be "Don't Get Up on Me." This is a pretty nice one. This is like a social night outing, like a busy, gussied up kind of sense. I'd have to say in particular, and it's like a quick paced nightclub fare. I would definitely have to say, and this is a great song to get crunk to. So I think about this particular song is just the concept. It's just a little bit quicker living as far as the pitch can goes. It's a more kind of strengthy type song to kind of get here. Just a little bit more quick living and busy type sense as far as the pitch can goes along with it. Not your typical kind of ground level type fare. It just has a little bit more composure. It's a little bit more composition and money aspects about it, just in particular, as if folks are just kind of pestering you in pitches like that, and you just don't have time for it as far as the pitch kind of goes along with it, just within that relative aspect. Just a little bit of busy living within a nightclub pitches like that. There aren't a ton of songs like this off this particular album, I'd have to say, apart from maybe songs like I Spoils and I'm an Outlaw. This is a pretty nice one. This is more vintage, like 3 6 Mafia type fare off to like their most known unknown days, and maybe a little bit of Last to Walk, I'd have to say in particular, but it is a pretty nice one. So it's another glitzy type one to kind of get here. It's another nice nightlife type appeal, just within a relative bustling, kind of busier type sense. A little bit more of like a status type song to kind of get here, but I do appreciate the concept. So this is like another stock hit on like a classic album, I'd have to say.